All praises to the Most High, Ahaya, and to his son, Yahayashah, Hamashiach, Yadahayah. This is Brother Holly with the first Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of Ahaya channel on this set-apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, brothers and sisters, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to the great I am, he who is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One, Yadahayah, and to his son, Yahayashah, Hamashiach, who gave himself for us that we might have life, and that life is in him, Yadahayah. Now, in this first broadcast, brothers and sisters, we're going to get right to it from the word. We'll be looking primarily in the book of Isaiah, but we'll be reading from Psalms as well. And we're going to read a little bit from the prophet Joel on the subject, who gets to go to Mount Zion? Who is Mount Zion for? Who gets to go? Who is invited? Who's being given it as an inheritance? We're going to look at it and this is why, children. In my reading, in my studying, I came across a verse that I've seen before, but it never has set well with me. So I started doing some research on that particular verse, and it's found in the book of Isaiah as well, which talks about the stranger being invited to take part in the covenant and keep the Sabbath and all these things. But as we know and understand from a careful reading of the scriptures, none of these things, keeping the Sabbath, taking hold of the covenant, none of that was ever offered to anyone of another nation. Only the children of Yashahiah, only the children of Jacob were ever offered a covenant, were ever told to keep the Sabbath, were ever given commandments, statutes, judgments, ordinances, precepts. The Messiah only came for us according to Romans chapter 9. So that verse seemed out of place, and it seemed like an interpolation. An interpolation, brothers and sisters, is a $10 word, for lack of a better term, that basically states that if something is looked upon as an interpolation, it was added to written text after the composition of the written text was by later translators as well as scribes. Whole verses in both Old and New Testament are interpolations, and certain parts of certain verses are interpolations in both testaments as well. And it's easy to see in your King James Bible the interpolations that were done by the translators, because those words would be italicized. But what's not easy to see is the interpolations that were done to the underlying text prior to them being translated from the King James Bible by past translators and past people who got a hold of our documents and translated them into their own languages. I'm talking about the difference between the Hebraic Old Testament and the Greek Septuagint and the Latin Vulgate versions. And we were basically lied to, brothers and sisters. We were told that we can trust that the Old Testament found in the King James Bible was from the Masoretic or Hebraic source and has nothing to do with the Latin Vulgate or the Septuagint. Nothing could be further from the truth. And the only way you can see it, because if you just ask that question, it was the King James Version Old Testament translated from the Greek Septuagint or the Latin Vulgate, the answer will be an emphatic no. But if you ask the question, are there parts of the Old Testament in the King James Version that derive from the Latin Vulgate and or the Septuagint, the answer will surprise you. The AI bots will reluctantly admit that there are certain verses and certain portions of the text, both in the Old Testament as well as the Apocrypha, that indeed have their origination from either the Latin Vulgate or the Septuagint and are not Hebraic in source. We've been lied to yet again by our oppressor. We're reading from the Hebrew Yasha Light Scriptures, Pale Edition. Turn with me to Psalms chapter 14. Let's start reading. Let's start reading verse 1. Psalms 14 and 1. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no higher. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Will you highlight? Now, this particular bit of scripture is quoted over in Romans chapter 3. But in Romans chapter 3, it says all who are under sin have this mindset. So we can see now who all those who are under sin having this mindset. And some of the things that these fools who say there's no higher, these abominable people that David here in his psalm was talking about, we can see some of the same attributes being shared by both groups. One being described by the prophet David, the other being described by the apostle Paul. I'll read it again. Psalms 14 verse 1. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no higher. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Yahiah looked down from the Shamayah upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek Hayah. They are all gone aside. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Does that sound exactly like what the Apostle Paul was reading? What was quoting, rather, in Romans chapter 3? It does. So, in Romans chapter 3, it was talking about the ones who were among the children of Yashahaya, as well as among the nations that did not seek after the Most High. They were all under sin. They've all gone astray. There's none among them that are good, no, not one. Here it's talking about people who say there's no higher. These will be your atheists, your agnostics that don't believe in the Most High at all. Period, point blank, full stop. So they're in the same group. They are both of those people. The ones who denounce him altogether and the ones who sin. Though they acknowledge him, they walk in sin anyway. They're both in the same camp. There's none among them that are good, no, not one. We are not those people. We are not those people, children. We are striving under blood, striving every day against sin. We are those who walk according to his way. And we're gonna hear more about ourselves here in a moment. Let's keep reading. I'll read it again. Psalms 14 verse 2. Yahweh looketh down from the Shamayah upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek Hayah. They are all gone aside. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge? Who eat up my people as they eat bread and call not upon Yahweh? There were they in great fear, for Hayah is in the generation of the righteous. Will you highlight? Verse 6, this is Psalm 14 and 6. Ye have shamed the counsel of the poor, because Yahweh is his refuge. Oh, that the salvation of Yahshua will come out of Zion, when Yahweh bringeth back the captivity of his people. That is the key point I want you to focus in on. That when Yahweh brings back the captivity of his people, that's when salvation is going to spring forth from Zion. I'll read it again. This is Psalm 14 verse 7. Oh, that the salvation of Yahshua will come out of Zion. Will you please underline the salvation of the children of Jacob? That's who Yahshua is. Underline that. Underline it. Oh, that the salvation of the children of Jacob will come out of Zion. Ain't talking about the salvation of every nation. Never has been, never will be. Most High never promised anywhere to save everybody. And as we've said on these channels, and I'll repeat it here, if the Most High ever said he hated anybody, that means he don't love everybody. So all you universalists out there, and there's some Hebrews, they ain't Hebrews, they Hebrews, among us, who are just closet Constantine Christians. all trying to say they favorite heathen. Let me help you. If the Most High hates anybody, he don't love everybody. Thus, John 3:16 is not all applicable. It can't be everybody because he's already said who he hates. If he hated one people or one person, he don't love everybody. He said, it says in the Psalm that he hates all the workers of iniquity. That's a vast, vast, vast majority of people on the planet Most High hate. How he love everybody then. You can't have it both ways. Either you're calling David and the spirit that inspired David to write a liar, or you're having to rethink your definitions and make them more in line with what the scriptures give. All praises. I'll read it again. Psalms 14:7. Oh, that the salvation of Yahshua will come out of Zion. When Yahweh bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice, and Yahshua shall be glad. Will you highlight? Next verse, Psalms 15:1. Yahweh, who shall abide in your tabernacle? That's a question. Who shall dwell in your Quadashia hill? Let's be clear. The Quadashia hill is Mount Zion. But we're going to prove that in a moment. Who shall dwell in your Quadashia hill? He that walks uprightly. This is the answer. The prophet David is asking, King David is asking, yeah, who's going to dwell? Who shall abide in your tabernacle? Who shall dwell in your Quadashia hill? He that walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue. You can't be a backbiter and dwell in the Most High's holy hill. Nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is condemned. So you can't be, trying to save a heathen who's vile, who's reckless, who's an unrepentant sinner. You can't be out there trying to save them or trying to usher them into the kingdom. None of it. No. If you're going to dwell in the Most High's holy hill, you got to work righteousness. You can't be doing anything against your neighbor. And Leviticus 19, I believe it's 18, tells you who your neighbor and your brother is. It says the people who are your kindred are the people are the persons who are of your own people. That's who your neighbor is. A fellow Hebrew. You're not to do something against a fellow Hebrew. No, you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. Wow. Verse 3 again, Psalms 15:3. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is condemned, but he honors them that fear Yahweh. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changes not. He that puts not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that does these things shall never be moved. Oh. Let's go over to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah 33. This is Yahweh speaking. Isaiah 33:13, it says, hear ye that are afar off what I have done, and ye that are near, acknowledge my might. Will you highlight? The word to the near and the afar off, those two groups, the near and the afar off, both of those groups were made near by the blood of Messiah, according to the writings of the Apostle Paul. The afar off, what did they do? Hear what the Most High has done. And you who are near, acknowledge his might. Verse 14, this is Isaiah 33:14. The sinners of Zion are afraid. Fearfulness has surprised the hypocrites. The sinners of Zion are afraid. The sinners of the children of Jacob are afraid. The hypocrites have been surprised. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? Now that sounds like a negative connotation now, doesn't it? That's to the non-Hebraic ear. For we know from the book of Hebrews that our most high power, our Hayah, is a consuming fire. Who going to dwell with him? Who going to dwell with the consuming fire? Who going to dwell with the everlasting burning? Who going to dwell with him? He that walks righteously and speaks uprightly. Does that sound just like who's going to be living in the holy hill? Some of the same qualifications it takes to live in the holy hill, it's going to take to be with the Most High. Let's keep reading. Isaiah 33:15. He that walks up righteously and speaks uprightly, he that despises the gain of oppression, talked about that in Psalm, shakes his hands from holding of bribes and stops his ears from hearing of blood and sheddeth his eyes from seeing evil. He shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the minions of the rocks. Bread shall be given him. His water shall be sure. Thy eyes shall see the king in his beauty. Will you highlight? You're going to get to behold the king in his beauty. They that behold the land that is very far, thy heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Verse 18. Where is the receiver? Where is he that counteth the towers? Thou shalt not see a fierce people, a people of deeper speech than you can perceive, of stammering tongue, you can understand. Look upon Zion, verse 20, the city of Solomon's. Thy eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. All praises. Your eyes are going to see Zion. Your eyes are going to see holy Jerusalem. Let's keep reading. Isaiah 65. Start reading at Isaiah 65, verse 8. Thus saith Yahweh, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one saith, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it. So will I do for my servants' sake, that I may not destroy them all. Will you highlight? Now we've introduced a whole new class of people, his servants. Hold that thought. Turn to Isaiah 44. Start reading at verse 1. Let's find out who the Most High servant is, according to the scripture. Here at the highest house and house of high, we do things and we speak things in accordance with the scripture. Here, precept shall be upon precept. So we got to define, it talks about a servant over here in Isaiah 65. Let's find out who the servant is in Isaiah 44. Let's read Isaiah 44. Verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Yashahiah, whom I have chosen. Thus saith Yahweh that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and you, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed. The seed of who? The seed of Jacob. The spirit is poured out on the seed of Jacob. And my blessings upon your offspring. Will you highlight? This is Isaiah 44 verses 1 through 4. 1 through 4. And they shall spring up among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, verse 5, one shall say, I am for Yahweh. And another shall call himself by the name of Jacob. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto AHAYAH, and surname himself by the name of Yahshua. All praises. We're going to read this again. We're determining who the servants are, who the chosen are, who Jeshurun. We're determining it all. And we're seeing who the Spirit's going to be poured out on. We're going to read in Joel in a moment about the Spirit being poured out. About a week ago, we did Acts chapter 2, the real Acts chapter 2. We talked about the Spirit being poured upon all flesh. We determining from the scriptures, as we did just now, determining who the servants are. We're determining who the people who are recipients of the outpouring of the Spirit are. See, precept is on precept, child. Teaching upon teaching, child. All these things work together. All these things are layered upon glory to glory, layer upon layer. You will have no excuse for misunderstanding these principles from the word. Let's read it again. Isaiah 44:1, we determine who the servant is. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Yahshua, whom I have chosen. Thus saith Yahweh, that made you and formed you from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and you, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon your seed, and my blessing upon your offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am for Yahweh, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Ahiah, and surname himself by the name of Yahshua. Thus saith Ahiah, king of Yahshua, and his redeemer, Yahweh of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last, and besides me there is no higher. All praises. Back to Isaiah chapter 65. Isaiah 65 verse 8 again. Thus saith Yahweh, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one said, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it. Did we not just read in Isaiah 44 that the blessing belongs to the children of Jacob, to the offspring of Jacob? Did we just read that? We're talking about a blessing here, found in the cluster of the grape. Don't destroy it, because a blessing's in it. Isaiah 65 and 8. Thus saith Yahweh, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one says, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it, so will I do for my servant's sake, that I might not destroy them all. I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob. Did he not identify who his servant was? Jacob. He's talking about for his servant, say he ain't gonna destroy them all. He said, I'm gonna bring forth a seed or a people out of Jacob. Come on. And out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains. And my elect shall inherit it, and my servant shall dwell there. Will you highlight? Chosen and elect are synonymous in terminology. I believe it's later on in Isaiah 44 that he calls Jacob the elect. We'll get it for you at a later date. It's either in Isaiah 44 or 45 that he calls Jacob the elect. But in Isaiah 44, he called him his servant and chosen. All praises. Here he's saying that my elect shall inherit it, and my servant shall dwell there. And Sharon shall be a fold of flocks, in the valley of Achor, a place for the herds to lie down, for my people that have sought me. So when you seek the Most High, here's a promise to you, child of Jacob. When you go after and seek the Most High, he's going to cause your foes to lie down in a good pasture. He's going to expand your sphere of influence. You all know how Brother Holly don't talk about current events unless I am pushed into it. But as you all know, here in America, there's been a squeeze placed on not everybody per se, but there's been a squeeze placed on anybody who looks like me. You remotely look like me. This nation just put a squeeze on you. They're trying to take away your job, take away your opportunity, take away your citizenship. They're trying to take everything from you. Now is the time. It's high time you turn to the Most High. You're going to need the Most High's blessing on your life more now than ever. You're going to need the Most High to pour out His Spirit upon you more now than ever. Look into the hills, Mount Zion, from which cometh your strength. All praises. Look to Zion, child. Zion is you're the inheritor of Zion, not some heathen. Let's go to the book of Joel. All praises. We almost done, child. Joel chapter 2. I went to Ecclesiasticus. My bad. Book of Joel, child. We're almost done. Joel chapter 2. I had it marked and I pulled it and put it in Ecclesiasticus. I should have read that too. Joel chapter 2, let's start reading at verse 15. It says, blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify or set apart the congregation. These are instructions. This is what we do. Let's blow a trumpet in Zion today. Let's call for a solemn assembly on the Sabbath. Gather the congregation of Yashahayah together. To sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and let the bride come out of her closet. Let the priests the ministers of Yahweh, weep before the porch and the altar. Let them say, spare your people, O Yahweh, and give not your heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Will you underline that? That's our prayer today. Don't let the heathen rule over us. Like I said before, they're doing this to us right now. Putting the squeeze on us. They got people in an uproar. And they almost got me to get back in the fray. I mean, I was that close, child. To getting back in the fray. Trying to undo what the Most High had me do. But, sometimes you really got to peel back that onion, man, to get to the core of a matter. And suffice it to say, when I started peeling back the onion and looking for, Most High gave me insights, child, into forward-looking things. Things they're proposing to do, not just this year, but the year to follow. They're trying to trick you, child, to pull it's all I can say, child, on the current events. So look unto the hills from which cometh your strength. Now is high time to turn to the Most High. And pray that the heathen rule not over us. Let's continue. Let's read it again. It says, this is Joel chapter 2, verse 15. Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck their breasts. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and let the bride come out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar. Let them say, spare your people, O Yahweh, and give not thy heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, where is their Hayah? Oh, all you who wear white and claim the Most High is your Most High power. That Yahweh is Most High. All of it. They're coming for you. Absolutely. But through Ahai, we're going to do exploits. Ooh. All praises. Then, Joel 2:18, then will Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. When we do what? When we sanctify the fast. When we call the assembly. When the ministers and the elders sweep between the porch and the altar. Our altar's in heaven, child. Here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. We are citizens, not just of this country. We're citizens of heaven, according to the Apostle Paul in Philippians chapter 4. Joel 2:18, then will Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yea, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, behold, I send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith. I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen. The heathen going to see our provision in these last days. How going to give us provision? The heathen. We ain't going to be a reproach about the heathen anymore. They're going to see your provision. I'll read it again. Yea, Yahweh will answer. This is Joel chapter 2:19. Yea, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, behold, I send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith. I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate. That's where you're going, all you who oppose us. You're going to a land barren and desolate. You and your armies. With his face toward the east sea, and his hind part toward the uttermost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Will you highlight? Fear not, child. Ahayah will do great things. Verse 22, be not afraid. Ye beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring, for the tree beareth her fruit, and the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in Yahweh, your Hayah. For he hath given you the former rain moderately, and will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. And the floor shall be full of wheat, and fat shall overflow with, and fats shall overflow with wine and oil. And I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. All them years that they cheated you. All them years that they held you back. All that money. All that stuff. It's going to be restored. Wow. And I will restore to you, this is Joel chapter 2, verse 25. And I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. The cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army, which I sent among you. Ye shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of Yahweh, your Hayah, that have dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Yashahiah, and that I am Yahweh, your Hayah, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. Will you underline that? And you shall know he's in the midst of us. He's walking among us. Did he not say that? That he'd walk among us. He would dwell with us. We're not a people forsaken, child. Not in the least. He is walking among us right now. for we are his dwelling place. He inhabits the praises of Yahshua. He inhabits the praises of the seed of Jacob. He inhabits our praises. We lift up our feeble hands, and he gives them strength. All praises. You needed a pep talk today, child. But not a pep talk from Brother Holly. No. You need a pep talk from the scriptures. But you needed a pep talk. Joel chapter 2, verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Yahshua, and that I am Yahayah, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Who's the your? The same people he just told you will never be ashamed. The same people he just told you he's going to be among. The all flesh is us, child. And your daughter shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants, we found out who the servants are. And upon the handmaids, in those days will I pour out my spirit, and I will show wonders in the Shamayah, and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. Don't we just see that? Didn't we just see the whole west coast of this country burn up? And now, isn't pillars of smoke everywhere now? Everywhere you turn around, there's a pillar of smoke. There was one last night. Another plane was taken down. And the scripture that came to mind, how Satan has been cast down to the earth. These planes. One of them planes was called American Eagle. It was an American Eagle plane. Brought down into the midst of the flood. You can't make that up. You can't make that up. Joel chapter 2, verse 30 again. And I will show wonders in the Shamayah, in the heavens, and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of Yahweh come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. Oh, there it is, brother. Whosoever. Let's find out whosoever. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance. Unless you are called to come to Mount Zion, or you are referred to as Zion, you're not receiving any deliverance whatsoever. You can't call on whom you not heard. These don't know the Most High name no more than man and the moon. They call him everything. And it shall come to pass that whoso shall call upon the name of Yahweh shall be delivered, for in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as Yahweh hath said, and in the remnant whom Yahweh shall call. The remnant is only of the children of Jacob. Let's find out. Chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and at that time I will bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Didn't we just read about the captivity coming home? We read about the captivity coming home in Psalm 14. We read about the captivity coming home back to Mount Zion to inherit the mountain in Isaiah 53. We're reading about the captivity coming home one more time after deliverance and salvation is being provided to them in Mount Zion. Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and at that time I will bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, and I'll also gather all nations, will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Yahshua, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. Wow. They have cast lots for my people. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 3. They have cast lots for my people. They have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they may drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Ziltor and Zidon, and all the coast? of Palestine. Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. Wow. Will you give me something? All you heathens. Will you provide me an offering? Most High said, I won't reject your offering and throw it back on your own head. Because, why? Verse 5. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 5. He going to gather the nations. Oh, yeah. In the valley of Jehoshaphat. And plead with him for his people. He going to judge them there. They're going to get their judgment. They ain't getting salvation. They're being gathered to be destroyed. Why? Because what they've done to his people. What they have done to us. And what they continue to do until this day to us. Because you have taken my silver and gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. You put in all your houses in repute, you call churches, all the most highest precious things. Wow. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold to the Greeks, that you might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whether you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to the people afar off, for Yahweh hath spoken it. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about, till the cause thy mighty ones to come down on Yah. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. Did I not say that the heathen were being gathered to be judged? Yes. He's calling the heathen to come fight with him. They're beating their plow spears into swords, not the other way around. We beat out our swords into plowshares. They're beating their plowshares into swords. One group of people being saved, the other group of people are being judged. Rejoice, Zion. Rejoice, child, for you have been called to salvation and not destruction. All praises to the Most High, AHAYAH, and to his Son, Yahayash, HaMashiach, Yada. Hayah.